So my name is Stirling Roberton from the University of Southern Queensland, based in Toowoomba, and come to the conference to talk a bit about some of my work in digital soil constraint management, and really trying to understand how many soil samples we need to be taking within the paddock to base our soil amelioration decisions on. A lot of growers out there are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, up to millions of dollars in some cases, on soil amelioration strategies. So we're trying to figure out of that say $500,000 investment, how much of that do we actually need to be investing in our soil analysis to base decisions on, so that our recommendation, whether it be gypsum, lime, deep ripping, organic material, is as spatially accurate as possible.
That's really interesting. What are the key things you picked up out of doing the research that you did? So was there anything that stand out that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, so not necessarily anything that we weren't expecting, but probably the biggest message that we found is we as an industry need to be taking a lot more soil data and soil information that we more than that we are currently taking, and we need to start seeing soil investment as a capital investment. So we might spend potentially tens of thousands of dollars on a soil sampling regime across our farm, but we can't expect that we're going to break even on that investment within a couple of years. These are capital investments that we need to look at through a period of time, much like buying machinery or buying a tractor. We're buying that to pay back over a lengthy period. Exact same thing with soil data. It's a large initial outlay, but we're expecting to get that paid back over a larger period of time by getting more accurate in our spatial recommendations.
Just a bit of a side question. You were researching to do variable gypsum.
Yep.
And looking obviously things like sodium and whatnot. Do you think that same approach that you did could be used for other variable use cases, for expensive inputs like lime or manures or something of that nature? Do you think you follow a pretty similar protocol? Exactly
same protocol. So we looked at gypsum application for the amelioration of sodicity, and that's just one constraint out of a bunch of constraints that might be operating within an agricultural system. They might be acting independently or interacting in some sort of unique manner. So we sort of demonstrated that we can pay back our soil data investment by ameliorating one constraint, but that's one constraint in a whole system. We do need to be looking at the system as a whole, looking at multiple constraints, and potentially addressing multiple constraints within the same parts of machinery. So it's definitely a multi-stage approach.
Excellent. And so, from the work you've done, where's the next? Where are you heading to next? Are you going to start looking at other constraints, or are you looking at other methods for soil sampling, or what's sort of in the pipeline?
Yeah, so where we really want to get to is the work we've done so far has really started to identify some rough ranges of sampling densities that we should be taking for soil constraint management, but that's really dependent on how variable the conditions are within any given paddock. So the more variable a paddock is, the more soil samples we'll actually need to take to characterise that paddock. So we want to get to the stage where we can walk into a new paddock that we've never been before, potentially get some yield data, EM data, plug it into some sort of algorithm that says we're confident that you should be taking X number of samples given the variability within that paddock. So in order to get to that stage, we will need to start looking at a number of other paddocks across different regions, which we're doing in our current GRDC source constraints project at University of Southern Queensland. Just getting more data, capturing more fields with different levels of variability to really refine that number down, so we can walk into a new field and give it a range estimate. Yeah.
Excellent. And could you give your best piece of advice for someone starting out, into some precision ag or variable rate applications or something like that? What something you've learned and you think you can pass that on?
Yeah, so probably my biggest word of advice is us as an industry, growers, farmers, us researchers even, we need to start thinking of soil sampling as a capital investment. It's not an operational expense. We can't be taking a limited number of samples to then spend $500,000 on amelioration investment. We need to be taking a sufficient amount of soil samples. Yes, will be expensive, we won't be paying them off in 1 to 2 years. They're a long-term investment, but looking at that as a capital investment, not an annual yearly investment is probably the main